A new report revealing one of the largest teachers' unions in Wisconsin stood alongside communists, socialists, and even anarchists in protest of Governor Scott Walker's budget cuts. Should these people really be teaching our children, some wonder? Joining us right now is the man behind the investigative report, founder and publisher of eagnews.org, Kyle Olson. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
We remember the demonstrations there in Madison, and, you know, a lot of people just assume, well, those are all government employees and teachers and stuff like that. Who are some of the far left radicals also standing with the public employees?
Well, what we wanted to do was look at who was behind the demonstrations, who was behind the occupation of the Capitol, who was behind the recalls of last year and this year, and those sorts of things. And the more we looked into it, the more we realized these are very radical elements. Anarchists, socialists, Marxists. And what we found disturbing is that when we tried to give an opportunity to WEAC, which is the teachers union, and other unions around the state, an opportunity to condemn this action, they didn't choose to do that, which I think is a very telling sign.
And what's interesting, in your report, Kyle, you talk about how this anti-Scott Walker strategy was developed a month before he was even sworn in. And part of the strategy was, okay, let's have the lawmakers leave the state, which they did. There would be death threats, which there were. There would be intimidation, destruction of property, and things like that. A lot of this was from the anarchists and the far lefties, right?
That's right. Those were the ones that were driving the message, that were driving the intimidation. They were bringing the heat, as one person said that we interviewed. And what did that bring? It brought death threats. We talked to a state senator, Alberta Darling, who told us that she had to have a police escort to the bathroom, and she had to have the sheriff's department patrol her house during this fight. And so what I think what this did was the anarchists, the crazies, were the ones that were doing all of this over-the-top stuff. So then that way the unions had some space to try and push this agenda forward.
Right.
And again, I think it's a disturbing development to see that these two elements are working together to try and stop reform.
Well, that is disturbing, but it's also disturbing that you've got these mainstream unions, and we just put up a list of them, including the big teachers union there in Wisconsin, and they refused to denounce the death threats and distance themselves from the far lefties.
That's right. That's all we wanted them to do, is just say, you don't support this, you don't agree with this. Take that opportunity, and
Sure.
they didn't do that. And there were just, things were just absolutely out of control.
All right, Kyle Olson, we thank you very much for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
You bet.